Thank you so much, Deepthi. I was impressed you were able to speak without looking here, which even I can't speak. Are you able to hear me okay? Okay, great. Wonderful. What a great session we just finished. Gopal, thanks for leading that, moderating it. Thank you, Ikram, and thank for Deepthi for having me here. You're doing something amazing out here in the Health AI Institute. And I'll build on some of the discussions we had yesterday with all the panels. There were a few themes which really struck. I think one was we still have this point and click issue. There's so many solutions coming, the problem of fragmentation we call in AI. And I want to give a lens. We talked a lot about innovation outside. I want to talk about what it takes to bring transformation inside. And I call it a fit journey from innovation to transformation. Innovation is what, everything that's happening with OpenAI, hyperscalers, everything that you see with startups. But really what creates value for us as an enterprise, as an organization, is how we bring it to our clinicians, to our patients, to our researchers. And that is an art to it, there's a science to it that we've been learning. So I'll share that, and especially the journey from our digital health, the last 10 years. These are some of my disclosures. I recently set up a venture accelerator to support clinicians as co-founders. That's a journey that I have been in that regard, and of course, Node and other organizations. I want to just start with my fifth career life. I started off as a physician and a public health scholar, and that lens I still have, because in public health, the goal is how do you impact masses at scale, right? I call it one too many. And when I get back to my physician lens, I'm impacting one patient at a time. And I always had the discordance, how can I connect one patient at a time, which we are seeing, to impacting millions of patients at once, right? So I did informatics fellowship 2 years, and I was so passionate. I told my boss that you have to create a fellowship at Cleveland Clinic, otherwise I'm leaving Cleveland Clinic, because I felt technology can really scale us. That led me to learn about, I created the first web-based paging application, and that led me to kind of realization, all of us can be creators. I never felt myself being a creator as a physician. We've always been told, hey, this is the book you need to remember, this is the book you need to learn from, but we never told the science of creation. That's basically for Stanford undergrads. But I realized no matter what our age is, no matter who we are, we all have within us to create things. And that led me to an innovation role at Mount Sinai, where my team built the first app prescribing platform. So we thought doctors should not only be prescribing medicine or surgery, but the time has come, this is 10 years ago, for doctors to prescribe apps and AI bots. And my patients stopped calling me GI doctor, they started calling me an app doctor. UC Davis Health has been great, and that started my transformation journey. How do you take this innovation, which we've been doing in apps and others, but really bring transformation at scale? So no single provider, no single patients, right? No single community gets left behind. And talking about community, what I'm focusing on is how do I go as a venture accelerator to go beyond transforming one hospital to transforming multiple healthcare organizations, to transforming communities and hopefully nations at scale. And that's the journey I'm in my fifth career life. And hopefully the fifth career life will actually intersect very meaningfully with Health AI Institute and others. And I'm a big believer in design thinking, problem-based learning. And I want to start with the problem that is really kind of the foundational problem for what we see in healthcare today. And the problem is really of clinician shortage and how much care we need. When I started practicing, I started seeing patients in GI, I started realizing, oh my God, I am seeing patients only 20 minutes for 2 times in a year. The complex patients, right? That's 0.07% of the time. And we expect the patient will completely change their health trajectory at home or work 99.9% of the time. We do not have tool to really provide that 99.9% care, health, which patients needed every single time. Patients need you and me as well. Health means every moment. Are you in your full presence, full energy, right? Full emotions, full without pain at every single moment of life. That's what health is. But we have intersection with the patient such a limited time. So that's what we need to go. That's what the patient's expectations are, on-demand care every time what we need. But the truth is we cannot deliver as clinicians. More than half of the clinicians are burned out. Many of the clinicians don't even tell their kids to actually become doctors, right? So we have more and more demand coming from clinicians and less clinicians to actually solve the problem. That's a burning platform where we are right now in healthcare, right? So the worst other problem is if you really go to make an appointment, it may be weeks to months before you get a subspecialist appointment because of the same demand and that's our burning platform. The other challenge we see is what we call as productivity paradox in healthcare. What I mean by that is nearly every single sector outside healthcare has benefited from technology. It has become more efficient. You look at travel, banking, what have you. Healthcare became more inefficient with technology because of something amazing called as electronic medical records. The doctors, after 14 years of their education, actually became a typist. I think this came yesterday in that discussion. So we have not done service to healthcare. We have really not unleashed productivity for healthcare till now. And I see AI era as a perfect, especially Gen AI, as a perfect opportunity to finally get healthcare into a productivity era. And why that is important and why I'm such a big believer on it. In fact, my mom disowned me when I became informaticist. She said, you were seeing patients, I could recognize you were a doctor. I can't even spell what informaticist is. So I owe it to her, and I always think of her when I present this slide. You all know about Moore's law. Many of you know about linear and exponential. But I really want to make a statement. Where we are in AI and digital health is nothing. Nothing compared to where we will be 1 year from now and 5 years from now. We are entering into digitization of entire healthcare. What I mean by that is not patient record going from paper to this. When any technology becomes digitized, it starts following Moore's law, which means it doubles, right, every 2 years. If you take example, and I'll just, I want to be fast as well and slow as well, so exemplify this one. There was a famous saying that there was a farmer who saved King's daughter. King said, get anything that you want. He said, I just want rice grain. But I want a rice grain that starts with the first square and doubles every square. Can anyone, except for computer scientists here, tell us if you double a rice grain, how much after 64 squares you get? Just estimate, that's okay. It's not a board exam. Don't use ChatGPT, by the way. Anyone? Thousands, millions, you know? 10 into 10 raised to the power 18. That's quintillion. That's world's rice production, right? If we are starting with technology today here, in 64 steps, where we will be with technology in healthcare, we can't even imagine. And we thought we cannot digitize healthcare, digitizes paper to this. How about now with generative AI, I digitize myself to make an avatar of myself. That avatar, which will give colonoscopy instructions to every single patient in UC Davis Health that needs colonoscopy. And what's better, it doesn't have to be me. It can be me and the best IBD doctor in the world from South Africa. We can combine each other to make an avatar, and every single patient can have an IBD doctor with them in their pocket every single time, right? That's abundance we can go if we really do it the right way. But it needs a lot of guardrails. It needs a lot of scientific principles. And I started reflecting on this field of digital medicine. This is the definition we had created in the last screen between digital health, digital medicine, and digital therapeutics. Digital health is anyone that works at the intersection of healthcare and technology. Digital medicine is when there's evidence that we can trust. And digital therapeutics makes the evidence is so good, so repeatable, so replicable that we don't even need human in the loop. So there's an evolution. I think you mentioned about autonomous car. You can see from digital health, digital medicine, digital therapeutics. But the real magic for a digital medicine and digital therapeutics is digital channels are just the channels of engagement. It's the intelligence, which is the AI underneath, that really creates the magic. So I want to kind of decrease the confusion between the world of digital health and AI. What you interact with is mostly digital channels, digital health, but the intelligence that guides is mostly coming either from AI or generative AI or something of that nature. So I look at these scientific disciplines as very much I look at biology, chemistry, anatomy that was taught to us in medical school. What future medical students need to be taught is these scientific disciplines. And these scientific disciplines alone do not do justice if the person on the other side doesn't know how to receive it. And what we have is really magic. We don't believe it, but smartphones have 1,000 times more processing power than all the NASA supercomputers combined, which led man on the moon with Neil Armstrong. If you remember how everyone was clapping and they had all supercomputers, you combine all supercomputers, multiply by 1,000 times, that each one of your patient, 95% of your patients have that power. But we cannot unlock the power unless until we use the scientific disciplines of digital medicine, right? We need sensors. We need to include an AI to use those sensors, right? We need telemedicine, right? That's the camera part of it, right? We can use gyrometer to know the person is about to fall. So once we unlock it in the right manner, we can really change the game. It can start very small journey. That's where my journey started in 2015. Very simple study, one-way text message. This started the care of one-to-many. What I mean by that is most of our care in this entire 300, 400 years of modern civilization has been you have to be with the patient in the same space and time to deliver care, right? That's one-to-one care. But then if you start extending yourself in a digital way, you start providing one-to-many care. So what this group did in Australia, and we have cardiologists here who can speak about it, basically all they did was they found you put a stent in the heart and you tell the patient go back home, because the interventionalist who put a stent in the heart doesn't have time to talk to the patient or lift phone call every single day to tell them, hey, your blood pressure need to be controlled, your smoking has to be stopped. They created just 1 or 2 text messages a week automatically coming to this patient randomized control trial. Improvement within 6 months of blood pressure, cholesterol, 40% smoking cessation, without a human actually talking. Right context, right learning at the right time, you can scale yourself. The best part, the day they did it in Australia, if we do a partnership, we can bring it in US. Doesn't require FDA approval. We can bring it to every single patient in the world who gets a stent procedure. We can just add a fraction of the cost. That's the amazing part. But how do we really take these nuggets of things, innovation, and all this amazing innovation happening to really bring it within our health system, right, where transformation happens? And I'm a GI doc, so I call about ingestion and digestion, right? So we need to ingest in a right manner the best kind of technologies, the best kind of food like we eat. But we also need capability internally within our organization, which we don't have right now, to really digest it to make value of that, right? And we'll give some examples of that. And this is the approach, I call it a 3P approach, which really worked for us in digital health. One is we need to go with the problem first. What is the biggest problem strategically we want to solve? The second is a platform approach. We really need to go from fragmentation we see. You know, every single high school student, if you just equip them, can make a new AI algorithm. Who has time, energy now, or resources to evaluate which ones to look at? This is a problem of plenty, right? So we need a way as a platform, instead of one use case being solved by multiple AI algorithms or multiple vendors, can we have a one platform which can solve multiple use cases, right? Electronic medical record does that. You have so many modules within the EMR that can do medicine prescription to results to note taking, all of them together. We need to unify because the world is becoming too exponentially fragmented. But really, even if you unify, without people, without you, we'll never achieve transformation. That's why the transformation has to be human-led, even if it's AI-powered. And I'll give one example of one-to-many care. This is rule-based AI. One of the toughest times I had was when I was in Mount Sinai in New York during COVID time. My wife was seeing patients, and I was seeing patients, different hospitals. We did not know at that time if we wear a mask, which we used to repeat every 3 days, that we will not get COVID, because we were seeing patients and there was no study that you can repeat a mask after 3 days, right? So we were staying in a separate rooms and our kids were staying in a separate room just because in case one of us doesn't survive. But within that, there was a thing that we heard that there were 100,000 patient calls that were unanswered because patients were going through a challenge that I have this cough, is it COVID, what should I do? 30% of our operators were sick, 30% of our medical students were sick. We had a platform, I'll share that with you. Within 8 days, we built a bot that reached out from EMR to 1 million patients and touched their lives, and 55,000 people started monitoring themselves on a daily basis. And that would have taken 100 nurses 150 days to do, right? So we were able to digitize that component, that functionality, and make it one-to-many care. And this was rule-based AI. So then as I came to UC Davis, we started looking at a vision, how we can really create a roadmap or a framework of combining what we call as digital front door, which is real-time text messaging, to digital navigation, which is procedure-based care along the patient journey, to digital monitoring, which is for chronic diseases, right? So how do we put it all together with the EMR in the center? So this was we call it a iris diagram. At the center is the EMR. And this is a conceptual diagram. So I built it for fun as a strategy. This was my first 90 days, so I had to do something so I stay on in a job. But the challenge was I built this, and then they said, create it. So then the next 5 years were all about building this platform. This platform is what we call patented, where we can connect any technology, any AI algorithm, and prescribe to patient. We were able to, the best joy was, even though I was a GI, I was able to go back to being an internist and really empower all specialties like cancer care to heart failure, make impact. These are all the published studies and impact we were able to do. And so if we have a platform approach, we can use it to actually take care of multiple specialties, right? It doesn't have to be bespoke for one specialty. But now what we can do with generative AI is a game changer, right? I look at rule-based AI, what we did was like the right side of the brain, the scientific part of the brain. But now the left part of the brain, the creativity, the expression, right? The language part is now coming with generative AI, which I never thought, by the way, was possible. The moment it came, it can change the game. I'll share a few examples now. Of course, many of you know about the AI scribe. But what next phase of AI scribe is just amazing. In now current version, a doctor is sitting with the patient. It's taking away all the note taking that I had to do because it automates the note. What if you go to the next version where the doctor doesn't even have to be there? An avatar can actually take the note. And then I take a summary of that note and then have a brief discussion with the patient. Then I have 40 minutes left just to counsel the patient, right? So we already have that role. In fact, we are even able to extend those digital avatars to not even be anywhere. We can go directly to the patient, right? So patient can get a call. It's actually a physician avatar calling or a nurse avatar calling. They are chatting with the patient, getting all the history right, creating a summary note right there without a physician being there, and telling a physician, hey, this patient needs urgent to see you. This person does not need you. It will automatically write to the right kind of physician as well. Now, this is what we did from CareEdge, and this is from Hippocratic AI, one of the companies I advise. And we published this data to show if we do it the right way, this can create a care abundance and bridge the gap between underserved population like never before. So we showed if you make a call to have colorectal cancer screening with a stool test to Spanish-speaking people versus English, Spanish-speaking people are more likely to engage, they are more likely to accept, and have twice the acceptance rate of a stool-based testing. So finally, all these gaps we see in social determinants of health, we can address that because now we can create a care abundance. Those gaps exist because we do not have enough clinicians or enough workers to bridge the gap. But if we do it the right way, we can. We can even go further. Now, this is episodic, right? You give a call to the patient. How about the patient can anytime query? So we are building, as part of the Fusion Care, one of our portfolio companies, obesity and metabolic care coach, right? Where I'm going through obesity boards, and I'm really struggling with it because of lack of time and other things. But this bot is completely anything that I am learning, I'm feeding this bot. And this bot is able to do a better job than me, of course, in that regard. But what if we bring this to the patient 24/7, 365? Initially, we have to bring with guardrails. 1,000 patients are actually gonna be 1,000 patients are gonna be monitored by real time by humans, so it doesn't make errors. But if we do it, then for their disease, they have someone with them all the time. And we can create an agent on top of it. If any question that is asked that we can't answer or is too complex, it immediately connects to a human agent and ultimately make an appointment. So the power is just amazing what is possible, but we also realize the speed of what's happening every single, I'm on the Twitter feed with Sam Altman, and every 2 days he declares a new model. I said, we just, learned about the previous model. Like, are you driving us crazy? He's driving and the whole world is getting driven crazy, right? So what our hypothesis is, no single person, no single organization has talent, skill, resources to conquer this all. Even Google cannot conquer it all. The only way we can make sense of it to work together. To your point, Gopal, which you mentioned, we have to come together to really unleash the value we want from this. So 1.5 years ago, close to now 2, we created Valid AI, a collective of multiple health systems. Now it's 58 members to really work together. And the reason is if someone has done an amazing use case for metabolic thing, I don't have to duplicate, spend next 2 years doing it. I can just take it and do it, right? All the amazing work that's happening across everyone, we can benefit from it. And then we wrote a position paper on creating AI Center for Excellence. I know, Gopal, you just mentioned about creating AI Center for Excellence. I'd like to end on that note. The goal was, we found it's not the model variability. I think that came up yesterday as well. And no disregard to amazing computer scientists here. We do need model reliability and accuracy from area under the curve. But the biggest variability is not model level. The biggest variability in AI is implementation science level. Who uses it, how we use it, which workflow. Because even if it's the best AI algorithm, we don't use it the right way, its value is 0. So we created a paper that each of our organization, which will be ingesting and digesting AI, need to have capability as an AI Center for Excellence to be the right implementation science center, right? So that's where the position paper was, but it was amazing thing happened after that. People started getting back to me. They said, Ashish, we love the paper, but we can't execute. We have these barriers. The number one barrier you saw is LLM jungle here. So many problem of plenty, right? We don't even know where to start, right? Do we go open LLM? Do we go closed source LLM? Do we go with Llama? Do we go with which one we go? For which use case, we don't know. This is 400 publications coming every single month of use cases, right? And they're doubling every single month. So next time if I give you a talk, this will be 4,000 a month. We need generative AI to understand generative AI use cases now, right? So no one can figure it out. It's just moving too fast. The other challenge was not only it's moving so fast, no organization I mentioned to you has time, skill, or resources to really understand and make value of it. And this is not just new things. I have 800 IT applications in my portfolio. 400 have some kind of automation AI component. If I have to do all those things which the panel said yesterday, before me, which is true, inaccuracy, ethics, equity, compliance, cybersecurity, I need 50 more people or 100 more people to really make everything secure. That is a perfect thing. If any organization already has done it, then how about we make that organization share with other organizations? Because we are duplicating each other's work. We cannot compete in this world with duplication. So this is our roadmap for AI. All the different kind of AIs need to converge together because ultimately need to converge at a human level. And a human needs both rule-based AI for things which are very definitive, computer vision for many things, and for generative AI. So that's our conceptual roadmap, and the center is the data engineering. You need to have data liberated, the discussion we had. So we have this conceptual vision, now we are making that a reality. Our goal is what ChatGPT has done at consumer level, can we, by working together, bring it at an enterprise level to empower every single healthcare organization, right? And the only way we can do that is to do together. So this is a new code. This is what we are working on in our venture accelerator, 80% of my time. The first thing we've conceptualized is reimagine the workplace. We do not want anyone more to ask me, would AI gonna replace doctors? We want the conversation to change to say, let's first use AI to superpower clinicians and every single healthcare employee. I think we do have a moral obligation to do that for each one of us and for each one of our friends, families, and employees. So we're creating reimagining. If you do open your laptop, the screen comes in the most personalizable way with your kids' pictures. It will come with your meditation music if you want. It will have the URLs which you want to go to, right? It will have the AI algorithm, multiple AI algorithms behind the scene, which will already know if you ask this kind of a question, this is the best AI, generative AI algorithm behind the scene. It will link to all the data assets. It can make everyone a data scientist, not a full data scientist. You can just have prompt engineering connected to data, pre-built prompts. You don't need 50 data analysts in your team and 3 months wait time, which is currently in UC Davis Health. You can do initial queries yourself. You don't need BI tools anymore. It will do the BI and the knowledge for you. Now, when you want to make a very big decision, then you want a confirmatory part done by a human in the loop, right? So that's all possible. And then it not only monitors every single thing at executive level, who is doing what and other things, but can also have an API to all the external modules, right? So if you have so many products coming, 800 applications, you want to have their monitoring, which is not done right now, or it is hidden, we can bubble that. One of the biggest pet peeves we have is we are very good as CIOs to add on more and more things, but we are not at all good in taking off things because we don't have visibility, right? What is not working? So enterprise-wide scorecard, we don't need just for quality, we need for every single AI algorithm automation that's happening. And then if we look at the agentic workflow, we go beyond APIs and Fire to just do that. We can actually use agentic workflow to fill in the gap what APIs and the Firebase APIs can't do, right? If we do it, we are creating an AI center for excellence, right? We are creating a way that ties not only the infrastructure, but it also ties the governance, the strategy, right? And how do we make an impact? Which use case we take, which makes the biggest impact? Because we have so many use cases where to start. And how do we do engineering and data? So if I do a use case, then we have exactly the same setup in another institution. They can turn it on within the next day and create value from that. If we don't structure our data the right way, we cannot replicate each other's successes. So if we do it the right way, and this becomes the heart and the intelligence of any new modern healthcare organization. Speaking about the heart, that AI Center of Excellence is a conceptual framework with all those things. But really, who's gonna run the AI Center of Excellence? It's not gonna be technologists. AI Center of Excellence will be run by human transformation agents. And I'll share this story. If I have to remember the best phase which I remember about my last 4 years as a CIO, I've just transitioned to a role of venture accelerator, is this Digital Davis leadership program. So we went and we got 20 leaders, physician leaders, and actually a few operation leaders across UC Davis Health, cancer to heart to others. And we said, we're gonna go to a 1-year journey on every principle that we have learned on digital health and AI, we're gonna go through in real world use cases. 6 months we went through that journey, 6 months they created a roadmap. Each one of those leaders actually created a roadmap for their own specialty. We got 15 grants from it, 25 papers. 10 of those people actually have become national thought leaders in their own specialty, right? Because we are talking about AI Center of Excellence from a technology standpoint is horizontal. But these are the people, humans like you, are the ones really gonna take that innovation and really make it vertical within yourself, right? And really create value from that. So that's where I want to kind of end in that regard. The journey, what we are seeing all the way from AI is all innovation. What we all have to do together is take that innovation to really transformation, where the true value and impact lies, right? And AI Center of Excellence will make us the shortest way we can go from innovation to transformation. And I give this, many of you may have seen the movie How to Train a Dragon, and someone gave a quote of their kid's picture, so I thought this is something which I truly believe. You can think of the way the pace is increasing, it's like a tsunami, right? We can either just sit there and we'll drown, or we can really think how to, really ski or water ski on top of, or surf on top of a tsunami. If we do surf on top of a tsunami, we can't even imagine where human civilization will go, right? It's the same thing. It is like a beast, the AI. There's a good, bad, and ugly all hidden into it. It's up to us to master and how to train that beast. If we learn the art of mastering, then we are doing a human-led AI transformation, right? Then we can fly the dragon and go into spaces which we, as a human civilization, we have never been to, an age of abundance, care, and joy. But the chances are, if we don't do it the right way, this will be catastrophic, and I really believe so. We actually have responsibility for humanity to do it the right way, right? And the responsibility rests on all of us to work together to make it happen. Thank you very much. I had a thing with the PDF, it went away because I knew one question that would be asked by Ikram. So my question which I had on the PPT was, how can we work together to make Minnesota the hub for the first AI Center of Excellence, right? Because I knew that question will come, so I appreciate that.
I think that the idea of the Gen sort of AI is pretty cool for a clinician to ask about any question. But do you think about what's the best use case for start? I mean, because I feel like it's, the feasibility of feeding all the patient data might not be very possible at the beginning. But what do you think of the use case for your tool to use for the clinician to ask, or maybe for like certain counseling, or they just for all types of disease, or what's the use case that you think is the most pinpoint for the for your tool?
Great question. So we mapped around 65 use cases of high value from what we look at value and feasibility. And if you look at the triangle, the top of the pyramid of the triangle is when the value intersects with top feasibility use cases. And I'll talk about the top 3 or 4. It also depends on the strategic lens of the organization, because what will be for one organization, which is federally qualified health center, may be very different for an academic hospital versus community hospital. But if I have to generalize it, I think from a physician side, physician productivity side, AI scribe, I would say, is a table stake. That's like water. People will choose in 1 year not to go to an organization which doesn't have an AI scribe. And UCI actually led the way by having investment into the AI scribe company as well. So I think that we owe to every single clinician not to be a typist or, and actually give that tool from a clinician perspective. I do believe from a patient perspective, what we are seeing and hearing, what will give the maximum value is there are not enough clinicians or nurses or care coordinators to call the patient, remind them of appointment, get them into their care journey. So these AI care agents, which can call the patient, talk to them, or digital text ways, and get them into their journey in the right manner and fill in all the gaps. They can make appointments, right? So that, I think, is a very big use case, completely care transformation use case. But it's not just calling, it's also receiving. So the other use case, which I believe is very big, is the automation of the contact center. If I remember when I had to call for my daughter, I had 1 hour wait for our own phone call, right? So we have so much wait. But what if we are able to take an AI care agent which can take the call? 80% of those are actually more rule-based than generative AI. It already knows based on this call either an appointment to be done or this has to be done. So we can actually have those. From an operational side, I think a lot of people mentioned yesterday as RCM and other things, remote, revenue cycle management, and that I think is becoming also table stake as we combine it. So I think these are probably the top ones to consider, but we have worked with 58 organizations to create a list of 65. And what we typically say is start with your strategy first, not AI strategy, your healthcare system strategy, because the AI strategy needs to help fulfill your strategy, right? So that's a problem first approach, because you already identified the biggest problem in your strategy. So use that lens to say which use cases bubble up on the top. And our only request is whichever use case you do, don't go just with a point and click use case, because you need many other use cases to make it whole, right? To really give a holistic transformation. So use any kind of a platform technology so you can build multiple use cases on top of it. Yeah? Yes, please. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ashish, for the inspirational presentation. My question to you is, as you know, nurses are a large. Thank you for the inspirational and engaging speech presentation. As you know, nurses are a large portion of healthcare, of the working force. If you had a magic wand, how would you engage and really develop transformational leaders in nursing?
Oh, great question. In fact, I was talking yesterday, right, with Dean and all. I feel it's the human capital is the best capital we have. I think we are getting it wrong when we say, hey, the AI is coming, it's going to take nurses away, clinicians away. We have to flip it completely to say, my God, I have this amazing human talent. If I get a superpower, then they are 10x more good, right? So we have to completely change that narrative. So in a way, I feel, and yesterday the discussion was also on medical students and nursing students, I believe it has to be across everyone, right? So we need to have, I didn't mention too much, one of our focused areas is actually AI Academy, building from Digital Davis Leadership Program, that every single employee needs to be empowered on how to best use the technology that's going to come. So that allows acceptance as well. And when Kaiser nurses, they gave a demonstration that they want to oppose every single kind of AI, UC Davis chief marketing officer actually approached me to say, Ashish, you have to make a statement. And I said, you are getting me fired, to make a statement. But they helped me with the statement, and the statement was, there were so many rules and regulations we do, so AI actually really superpowers nurses versus replace. And to be honest, so we made that statement in that regard. So I think, but we do owe this academy of training right away from the deans to work together at the very stage. We need to have data science and AI as a core mandatory discipline, because without that, you cannot have care delivery, right? We teach about science, so we need to teach care delivery more. And the other part is actually having nursing and nursing leadership as a voice. When we have many options of use cases, when we have to do implementation science, they need to be very much like patients on board to really direct it, because that directionality is key how we create value.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.